Alright guys, so I'm gonna do another edit here, this time a little bit different, so it's not actually a real estate photo. This is actually the broker and owner of Wilco Real Estate Group. Her name is Maria Wilson, and that's one of the real estate agencies that we do the most work for. And so we did some lifestyle kind of headshot style photos of her in a listing. And so just wanted to run through real quick while I was editing those and just kind of show you my workflow and what I would do. So this is the raw image. You can see 1/200th of a second, f2.8, ISO's at 1000, and we are zoomed in to almost 50 millimeters. I feel like it's a pretty good focal length for portraits and whatnot. So just go over here to boost the exposure, bring down the highlights. So you see these highlights, they're pretty washed out. We want to bring that down a good bit. Then we're also going to bring the whites down as well for the same reason. And then boost our shadows some. Those on up, and then of course we push the blacks up as well. So this just evens out the lighting across the entire photo from the shadows to the highlights. And then that, and so contrast, pretty much always add between 50 and 60-ish of contrast, somewhere in that range, just kind of my go-to sweet spot. Might be a little bit lower, might be a little bit higher sometimes, but that's just kind of where I find myself landing most of the time. Then we'll add some texture and clarity here as well. And so, or excuse me, not add, but I'm going to take some away just to soften the image a little bit since it is a portrait. And then we'll go to the color mixer and we're going to pull these back and forth from 0 to 100 to see where these colors actually pop out. So you can see that this, like here when I boost the saturation for red, that most of the red comes out in the couch that she's sitting on, as well as some of the features of her face. So lips definitely are mostly red. And so I'm gonna make that red pop a little bit, so I'm gonna saturate it just a hair, and then we'll go up to the hue, where we will adjust accordingly, and I'm going to push that into the oranges a little bit because some of it is on her face and the orange is a little more natural. And then the actual orange hue will push up just a little bit as well. And then on the saturation, so you can see it's mostly in her skin tone. So we'll actually desaturate that a little bit. Pretty much always on portraits I desaturate the skin tones just a little bit because nobody's skin is really orange. That's just how it shows up at a camera. Then the yellow will desaturate. Actually going to push the hues of yellow down toward orange. Just make it a little more natural looking as well. And then the greens, you can see we've got the tree and the pillows. Actually going to desaturate that as well, and then push it toward the yellows a little bit more to get a more natural green color. And then the aquas, boost the saturation. And so her dress was fairly on the green side, so we're going to push that down toward green. And then the blues, you can see the pillow, the candlestick, but then you've got it all throughout the windows and the ceiling up there in the corner. So definitely going to desaturate those because some of those places were not blue, they were white. And then purple and magenta, and I'm not really seeing just a ton of those colors, so desaturate those a little bit and move on. So next will be the luminance for each color. So do we want to brighten or darken each color? So we're actually going to brighten this one because of the facial features it shows up in. And then on the orange for the skin, we're going to brighten as well. Then the yellow, so we're mostly going to see that yellow in the blanket. So we're going to darken that a hair. And then the greens we're going to boost. Aquas for her dress, I'm going to darken those a little bit. And then for the blue, we'll leave those pushed up a hair. Purple and magenta, move on from those because like I said, they're not very relevant to the photo. We're going to add sharpening, noise reduction, and then we'll do our lens correction. And then we will crop. So we want to straighten the image, kind of going off of this window pane in the background to make sure the picture is straight. And then I'm just going to crop it in to where she is centered in the frame. So next we'll add some masks. So we're going to do a linear gradient on the bottom of the photo and pull the exposure down. So what this does is just kind of make the bottom of the picture a little less relevant because I mean the subject, which is her, is the main focus. As you can see, we'll highlight here and we'll boost that exposure just a little bit because we want her to stand out. I mean, like I said, it is the subject, it is the focus of the image. So we've got the exposure up, we're going to pull the highlights down, and then we boosted the shadows just a little bit. So what that does is kind of even the skin tones out, but also lightens the overall subject, makes it a little brighter in the picture. So then we'll move on to a more specific mask here for the face. So we're going to do facial skin, body skin. So any thing visible. And what we want to do is just smooth that out a little bit. So, you know, this isn't heavy duty Photoshop retouching. It's not fake or anything, but straight out of camera, when you start adding lots of contrast, lots of clarity, it can make skin tones get kind of harsh. And so what we do is just kind of go back and smooth those over and even it out just a little bit on the final image. So we'll do that by reducing clarity and texture. We'll bring the sharpness down some. And you can see, obviously, still very realistic. Like I said, not crazy, not any crazy Photoshop tricks or anything. We just kind of brightened, lightened, and softened the subject. And so this is our final image, before and after.